and thank you for joining us. My name is Tim Rotek. I'm a director of product marketing here at Couchbase. We're very excited to be part of the cloud database Battleground event. And with me today is Jeff Morris, Vice President of Product Marketing here at Couchbase. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, Tim. Thanks very much.
So today we're going to be talking about Couchbase's cloud database and how we're helping different customers to be more agile, more competitive, and deliver better experiences for their customers and their employees. So let's begin with that. How is Couchbase's database helping organizations to manage data, to perform at scale, and to lead their industries and their verticals in today's acceleration economy?
Well, it's a fun one because we have a lot of examples of really breakthrough applications that are affecting all of our lives every single day. So let's start with sort of a traditional Couchbase one, which is FICO, right? They've got a fraud detection and prevention solution that they go and resell to banks. And there's over 9,000 banks that subscribe to this service. The fraud detection service platform is called Falcon, and it's managing more than 3 billion credit card accounts, watching them all the time, making sure that there is not fraudulent transactions happening across the globe. And they estimate that they're covering about 65% of the world's credit card accounts with this particular service. And it's powered by Couchbase as the underpinnings. There's another really interesting one of Glue Mobile. They've benchmarked Couchbase. They're a open source identity management solution that, again, then goes and embeds in other people's software products. They benchmarked their solution at over 1 billion full round-trip web authentications per day, and at a rate of 16 or 13 and a half transactions 13,500 transactions per second, which is a pretty impressive round trip rate. And then there's some of the our other favorites. I interviewed UPS at Couchbase Connect, and beyond the fact that their package tracking solution is handling 20 million shipments and 450 million tracking requests a day. You'll also recall, and it was highlighted in our interview, that their logistics network was delivering, and it was a key player in the vaccine delivery exercises that happened about a year ago. So affecting everybody's everyday life. And finally, another breakthrough application that is in entering its stages of approval with the FAA and other flight authorities is Emirates Airline, and they are expediting the pre-flight checklist for airplanes. And they're overcoming the fact that internet connectivity at the gate, when your airplane is docked there, is really unreliable. And they're overcoming that by using Couchbase's peer-to-peer synchronization capability among tablets that are used by pilots, the flight attendants, the maintenance crew, to make sure that the flight is ready to go. So they're estimating that it'll improve their on-time departure rates. It'll improve their ability to turn around airplanes for maintenance. And they describe it themselves as a first of its kind of application. Another really good one is a platform vendor customer of ours, Cvent. They had to pivot during the pandemic from being an in-person event management company, right? They're the trade show management people who set up booths and give you your lead management system. And they had to transform themselves in like 3 months from being this on-site vendor to being a virtual live streaming and hosting vendor. And they did that first for their own particular conference, and then for multiple conferences downstream, sometimes hosting up to 100,000 people at once. So, all of these are very transformative in their own right. They're all across industry and powered by Couchbase at its core.
Great. So some very good customer examples, very industry-focused leaders. What about just for customers in general? When we think about customers that are looking to be more data-driven, more competitive in what they do, and just gain more revenue, which is probably about everyone. How does Couchbase's database help make that happen?
Well, we're a unique sort of database system because we help customers, create modern applications. And if you really look at both the drivers for needing to modernize your applications, our customers find situations where they need to deliver these great kind of user experiences, but they lack the flexibility to do so. And they can't adapt their application very effectively or in a timely manner because their older applications are built on relational technology. And that's very, very structured and oftentimes very difficult to change. But we've certainly found that they need this new kind of adaptability and flexibility to enhance their user experiences, to help match personalized preferences to, let's say, big dynamic catalogs of products or services. And the main underpinning of this that Couchbase assists with is we offer the JSON document format as our foundation, which is very easy to change and modify and add structure to the data itself while the application is running running itself. So there's no deployment lag or permission you have to ask for to a DBA. So that's one of the core reasons. The other one is to advance themselves into the mobile space, and you can see our user here is operating a mobile device, and that's really become the de facto delivery vehicle for a lot of these different types of applications. So you've got to have an embeddable database that gets your data out to the edge and beyond in order to accommodate this, and because that's where your interactions are taking place. The next one, a requirement that we're seeing is really on the developer side. So the implementers have a couple of challenges that they're facing. And one is, can I keep using my existing skill set, even though I need, that flexibility or I need performance at scale as another requirement. But, I know SQL, but don't force me to learn something brand new in order to take advantage of these newer capabilities. Give me all the things that I expect out of a database that are born from my experience with relational technologies. So Couchbase supports that with our support for SQL++ as our core query language, and the fact that we've got lots of those capabilities built into the database itself. And the last one is, how do I deploy effectively at scale from cloud to the edge and do so in a cost-effective manner? Because it's the cost of operation is really holding organizations back. So oftentimes that means moving to the cloud. And if you move to the cloud using Couchbase, you're going to adopt a product that we call Couchbase Capella. That's our hosted database as a service that encompasses all of these core capabilities I've just described.
Okay. So when customers are looking at Couchbase, tech teams, developers, what are those top three reasons they come to Couchbase for the first time?
That's an interesting one, because I think the very first reason they come to us is they need to validate that that flexibility that I just talked about with the JSON format. So, and oftentimes they might be learning about what NoSQL technologies are all about, and discovering that both flexibility and performance at scale are going to be big advantages that they carry forward. But for us, not only do they have to validate that that JSON capability or the other multi-model services that we offer, like key value access or built-in full-text search functionality, or massively parallel processing analytic functionality, or even data streaming and eventing to kind of round out the core capabilities of the database. They need to validate that. And so oftentimes and match that to their relational skills, as I just mentioned. The next is they need to test drive or try out or prove out the performance at scale claims that we're making. And oftentimes we supply benchmarks that demonstrate that, and we've been doing so for years. But they also want to make sure that it runs their application in their environment or within our Couchbase Capella environment to make sure it does scale and deliver that low cost of operations that they're seeking. And that's really the last one: is it really affordable, or is there going to be some kind of hidden expenses that I'm not anticipating as I want to grow. In many cases, other databases as service start out fine when the thing is small, but then their performance curve starts to flatten out. They can't scale very well, or they just get extraordinarily expensive as you do try to scale. So proving out that price performance value is maintained as the application grows is really number 3 there.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. As customers are deploying and applications grow and they need to be in more locations, more regions, more countries, how does Couchbase's cloud database simplify data distribution, replication, things like sharing across, hybrid clouds, multi-clouds, and all the way out to the edge?
Well, so let's look at some of the things I just talked about how we're operating in the cloud, and what really makes Couchbase an interesting platform is we do allow you to deploy anywhere. We're a clustered, shared nothing architecture of design, by origin, and we really focused on the hard parts first. Right? Is how are we going to make a distributed database that does not have any central points of failure? And one of the ways that we got around that was we made the applications that we're supporting always aware of the location of the data that is assigned to that application or that portion of the application, and we embed that directly in our software development kits, and therefore it goes directly into the applications that our customers are deploying. So the applications always know where their data is. That gives us some a nice boost in reliability, and it also feeds our scaling and performance story. We operate under a shared nothing architecture with a memory first design, which is what makes us fast. And if we really look back on the origin of Couchbase, it was really the blending of a document based data store and an in-memory processing key value store. So you marry together the performance of the key value store with the flexibility of the document store, and then make that particular platform scalable. We support things like elastic clustering, so you can grow your clusters horizontally or retract them. We support automatic database sharding, and we do that at the document level or at the document collection level, so that you can get very granular about where all your data goes, and then automatically handle the rebalancing that if you need to move it or if you need to make adjustments to the cluster. The key thing there is you don't have to remember what the shard key was. That's managed for you automatically. We support things like mapping the performance of the database and all of our services, like I mentioned earlier, the document service, the key value service, the SQL search service, the indexing service. All those services run within the cluster itself. But we allow you to map those services to the different nodes that you might be processing within the using to process the database. And what that means is your application can best utilize the environment, the infrastructure environment that it's running upon. And if you're running a cloud environment or a host, or a database as a service, from the architect's point of view, you want to make sure that you're redlining your infrastructure, right? You want to maximize the electricity you're spending for all of that infrastructure, and this multidimensional scaling capability really allows you to do that. And then let's start talking about mobile to edge, because we've got some interesting capabilities here. So I talked about we've got clustering. The one piece I left out also was cross data center replication. So if you need to support multi-cloud or data centers in different geographic territories, or offsite backup to some other location, cross data center replication helps you handle that. But then let's carry it even forward to the edge, and in that case, you want to end up synchronizing data and get data down to just the essential elements that need to go down to a mobile device or an IoT device. We offer an embeddable database there called Couchbase Lite, but we can get data down to these edge devices and then back again. And the intermediate management capability of handling that data transfer, we do through a series of networked synchronization gateways, sync gateways. And what's cool about that is you can build out sync gateway locations. I've got a cruise ship, Carnival Cruise uses Couchbase, and in every port they have sync gateways that are connecting to ships that come into dock, and they're like roaming data centers on board the ship, handling their customer experience. But then as they come into port, that's when all the data resynchronizes. But that Emirates example I just talked about, that's also one of those mobile use cases that's getting the data out to where it needs to be processed. But it's a really quite a unique capability that that Couchbase offers here.
Got it. So that synchronization and management of data is critical in terms of moving data around, outside the data center, out to the edge, in different regions, and so on. Makes sense.
Yep.
Let's talk about, obviously data is critical nowadays to organizations, the lifeblood, some will say. How does Couchbase provide a trusted data environment to make sure that customers are meeting their security needs and their data governance needs for their applications?
Well, that's a pretty hefty problem to be solving. But for more than 10 years, we've been working with those, the world's largest organizations in managing all kinds of mission critical data. In many cases, we characterize it as like human critical data. If Couchbase fails, the airplane doesn't take off. If the pop-up medical clinic doesn't have its patient records, right? You can't supply medical care to particular patients. So each of those are examples of the criticality of the information we're carrying. But then how do we end up? In fact, I think it's something like 30% of the Fortune 100 are working with us to trust us with their data, or trust their data being held within Couchbase. But it's really the application team itself can designate where the data is going to reside for regulatory purposes, data sovereignty kind of purposes, and use that cross data center replication capability, which has filtering built into it, to designate and dictate where data is supposed to land. And then if it's supposed to land in, let's say EMEA, where there's specific regulations you've got to support, you can ensure that the data does indeed land there and is stored there and owned there by that particular data owner. So cross data center replication helps with that. Even our backup service has location-based filtering built into it, so to help you designate again where data goes. So that's like the where do you put it for governance sake. But then when we're running it, there's also just the operational issues of, can I trust the fact that your database is running in the cloud and supplying my data to the places it needs to go, but keeping the bad guys out. And so, for this kind of thing, we offer a fully hardened infrastructure environment. It's managed and hosted by us. We give you your choice of cloud in which to deploy it. And when we do that, right, we set it up such that for every customer gets their own virtual private cloud and their own cluster per client. So everything is tenant isolated. We support SOC 2 Type 1 certification today, and we're in the middle of our operational observation for Type 2 as we speak. And then we have multi-layer role-based access controls, to designate what groups get access to specific data. That can be controlled by the application. It can integrate with authentication systems to determine what access controls are available or what access rights are available. And of course, as data moves around, it's encrypted with TLS. As data lands on disk, you can, if you need disk level encryption, that's available. Device level encryption is also available. So we do it as well as possible to make sure that the right people are seeing the data, the wrong people are not, and it's landing and being consumed where it's supposed to be.
Got it. Okay. Well, I think that hits our big questions for today. So thank you, Jeff, for the time. And thank you to everyone for watching this segment, and hope you've enjoyed learning about Couchbase and our cloud-based database and how we're helping customers to accelerate their results.
Thanks so much, Tim. Thanks, everyone.